In 1997, archaeologists excavating beneath the chapel of Scotland's Stirling Castle uncovered the remains of a young man buried in a shallow grave. The sheer volume of trauma found on his remains is staggering. Skeleton 150 suffered 167 total fractures, including 61 distinct cracks across the skull alone. History books are full of accounts detailing how siege engines demolished architecture and broke city walls. But for centuries, we've lacked any physical evidence of what these machines actually did to the people standing inside the impact zone. The forensic experts who analyzed these remains concluded that standard medieval weapons could not have produced this level of destruction. The injuries appear closer to the profile of a modern high-speed train or car collision. This creates a unique biological puzzle. We have to identify exactly which 14th century technology could generate the kinetic energy of a modern vehicular crash. In 1304, during the First War of Scottish Independence, Stirling Castle was the final fortress standing. A garrison of only 30 to 50 men attempted to hold these walls against the full weight of the English army. King Edward I of England was determined to end the stalemate. He ordered the lead stripped from the roofs of Scottish churches for miles around to manufacture the massive amount of ammunition needed for his assault. Edward deployed 17 distinct siege engines to circle the castle. The relentless volume of heavy fire meant that survival for the trapped defenders became an exercise in unavoidable statistical lethality. The trebuchet operated on a simple physical principle, using gravity to convert a dropping mass into forward velocity. As the throwing arm reaches its peak, the leather sling snaps open, launching the projectile at its maximum speed. These machines were common in medieval warfare, but the project Edward started in 1304 was designed to dwarf everything that came before it. This was the War Wolf. It took 5 master carpenters and 50 laborers 3 months to build the largest trebuchet in human history. Edward had commissioned a machine capable of accelerating a 140-kilogram stone projectile with enough force to breach stone castle walls. Back in the lab, researchers had to prove these fractures were caused by that bombardment. They used specialized imaging to distinguish between bones that degraded over centuries and bones that were shattered while the victim was alive. Micro-CT scans allowed them to identify fresh bone breaks, confirming that all 167 fractures occurred at the same moment. Mapping shows the destruction was concentrated on the right shoulder and back of the cranium, indicating a massive blow from above. This reconstructs the victim's final stance, standing upright, weight-centered, with forearms flexed defensively in front of his chest. This combination of weight-bearing stance and extreme top-down force rules out almost every battlefield weapon, except for a massive, falling projectile. As the massive War Wolf was nearing completion, the desperate Scottish defenders attempted to surrender. They knew exactly what was coming. But King Edward refused, driven by an engineering obsession to test his new machine. He forced the defenders to stay inside until the War Wolf could be fired. When the massive machine finally launched its 140-kilogram stone projectile, the crushing impact completely shattered the castle's thick curtain wall. The historical records of the wall collapsing and the forensic reality of the broken man converge in this single moment of impact. Statistically, it is possible Skeleton 150 was crushed by one of the 16 other siege engines deployed at Stirling, but the physics of his death remains the same, regardless of which machine launched the strike. This is the only documented case of death by trebuchet in the archaeological record. We often treat these machines as interesting historical curiosities or video game mechanics, but their original purpose was strictly biological. They were built to crush the people defending the castle. Skeleton 150 shatters that detachment. He forces us to look at the undeniable physical reality of those trapped in the impact zone. Modern bioarchaeology restores the human identity of victims lost for 7 centuries. It translates the abstract accounts of medieval siege warfare into a physical, undeniable human tragedy.